Making Tuesday. Troublemaking Tuesday, June 7th. We're talking about Apple's big announcements yesterday. It really are kind of game-changing. And Ford getting into summer camp.
Everywhere I go,
Summer camp?
people really
Ford?
want to know
Summer camp.
What summer? Did you go to summer camp as a kid?
Okay, like
You're like,
summer
let's
camp,
define
like the
summer camp.
movies. Like, you
That's
know,
not
you
summer
go to
camp.
the lake and you get flipped over in the canoe. No,
Well,
never
okay.
did that.
Okay. What kind of summer camp did you go to?
Oh man, so we went to a lot of so my dad and I went to Southern Baptist churches growing up, and so in
Church camping it.
And so we went church camp,
Lots of
which
sermons.
was basically you go to a college, and it was a very sports oriented church camp. So you go stay in a dorm at a college and play soccer all day.
That sounds
and
great.
It was the life.
That
So,
sounds
yeah.
great. I'm trying to think if I went to day camps, not really overnights. I went to do some basketball camps, but yeah. We're going to talk about Ford and summer camps in just a minute. I don't know. It's summertime, right? And so it's let's talk about. I went to nerd camp. Nathan's going to get it. You know, Nathan was running the nerd camp. So
running it.
So there's a lot of things to talk about today, but we're super excited because we are going to be on the ground in Philly on Thursday. We're scoping out the venue for ASOTU Con, which if you hadn't heard about it yet, go to asotucon.com and put your email in so you can know all the things we're planning. We're about to release a bunch of information, but the speakers and the collaborators and the activations.
Paul, I've had 8 people ask me, what are the dates? So for those that listen or watch the podcast, track with me. It's September 11th.
You should be able to remember that.
Should remember that through the 13th. And yes, we do know it's a Sunday through a Tuesday. It's on purpose. We want you to be able to get back to your stores and have that nice travel kind of break, only be away from the store for a one full day as dealers. So yes, it is September 11th through the 13th. It is a Sunday through a Tuesday, and we couldn't be more excited.
Nope. Well, follow around on our social media because we're going to be posting as we're out there, giving you a little sneak peek, but so much more to talk about with that coming up soon. But today we have a few stories to talk about that we're excited about. You and I were texting late last night because, if you haven't noticed, we kind of run at the speed that you see us in the morning show from the point we wake up
All
until we collapse.
I know. No, I normally I'd be I'd have my Remarkable and I'd be at WWDC full on nerd camp. Okay, so they're coming out with the new OS. Oh boy, right? But I couldn't do it yesterday, so it was 10 o'clock
busy
at night.
Working.
And Paul and I are texting about all of the things that that Apple is going to be coming out with. Now, if you don't know about Apple, at the WWDC, which is basically their developers conference, they're actually not talking about products that are coming out in the next month. They're talking about things that developers can be working on for the fall.
But they kind of still talked about products.
Right. Yeah, they'll talk about products, but a lot of it's around the iPhone or Mac operating systems. And so that developers can dive into the work of creating app systems, creating with all of the new things that you can do, leaning into that app development space. So it's kind of they do some beautiful, here's the new, the new Apple, the MacBook Air is it's just a whole new reworking of the frame. But I'm really excited about some of these UX UI upgrades.
Sure. The biggest things to come out of that, we were texting, they're changing the game on a few different areas, but as it's related to automotive, they announced a totally revamping of CarPlay, which marks, if you're not familiar, I don't want to assume everybody's familiar. So CarPlay is the interface when you plug in your iPhone to your vehicle. You kind of take over the vehicle's entertainment screen right now. So all of your apps in the familiar Apple interface, you can navigate it all right from your infotainment screen. But Apple has been working on and collaborating with OEMs. And now but soon you'll be able to, you don't have to plug it in now. It's just wireless CarPlay. You bring your phone in your car and it takes over the entire display of the vehicle. That means all the displays, the speedometer, the fuel level, engine temperature, climate control, everything. All of the car's information will be in this beautiful Apple design, seamlessly integrated with your phone. And not to mention, I didn't even think about this. Imagine the data they're about to collect.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I think it was Chris Martinez or Chris Vasquez, posted on LinkedIn. He was you think they might be gearing up for some ads networking,
Oh.
whether in the car or outside of the car, right? Without a doubt. But the
Yeah, can you see the headline? Like to drive fast?
right?
Right?
Yes.
No.
No.
Insurance
But
rates
no,
going up?
it
Yes.
is. It's wild what they're going to be able to do with that technology and kind of taking over the ecosystem. I thought about this morning as I was driving in, the contrast between a manufacturer choosing to essentially partner with
Thinking
Apple
about this the same exact thing.
or Volvo partnering with Epic Games, right? It's like, do you own the system? Do you create the better infotainment system, or do you pass it off to, to give that capacity to an Apple or a Google and own, the vehicle technology so that the R&D money is spent on something different? Really an interesting, like, we'll see what OEMs kind of choose which path over the next 12 months.
I think it could probably be a both and. I mean,
Sure.
Because you think people are I don't know if you've noticed, but Apple people are a little snobby when it comes to the blue bubble thing. So they want things kind of the way they want them. So it will be like what is worked into the heads up displays and all that. How does it all play nice together? But one thing is for sure, the days of the OEM deciding, right? Think of all the time and energy goes into gauges and placements and coloring and in-vehicle experience. That's about to become a blank slate for someone's like creative mind. Like I'm just starting to think of like what some of these displays are going to look like, right? Like some are going to be anime and some are going to be like
personalizer.
Steampunk.
It's like an in-car personalizer.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the whole change of the customizable in-user experience, that has really been protected territory, like the vehicle dash, and it's just been completely untouchable until now. So that's going to change a lot. They also released some other cool stuff that's going to be available like next month, like being able to unlock and start your car just with your phone. So like tap to start. And they said BMW's rolling out next month. You can share your car key with someone else to borrow the car or a valet. Just a lot of, again, more flexibility and options. And you said pretty soon, using their proprietary chip technology, it'll be like, you don't even, just like when your key is in your pocket, you don't have to like touch anything. So you have your phone with you, you're good to go. I don't know how much I will trust that. It'll take a while before I trust and still don't want the key on me. Right? Because
you never know.
It's software update. Right. I can't go anywhere for 30 minutes. But all that to say, this is just a big step forward for like what the consumer demand is for user interface and this unlocking this whole world of customization and data. And like you said,
Paul, we'd be remiss if we didn't get out of this, if we got out of the story and didn't talk about the fact that the next time you text your coworker, babe, I love you, you can actually delete it. Right.
I actually don't do that. You mean by accident?
By accident.
You got to clarify. Yeah. Like, look, I'm super excited that I can mark text messages unread because if you sent me a text message and I've ignored it, it's not because I wanted to ignore it. It's just because it got buried in
it. All of a sudden, like you clicked it and we're like, oh, I'm never going to remember to go back to that one. Yes.
Also, a little mail feature that's fun. It's another thing that I do more frequently than I'd like to admit is that if you like reference like see attachment, right, or attached, and you don't put an attachment on there, mail is going to be like, hey, did you forget something? Right? Put the attachment in, will you?
I will say Google's like, we've been doing this for a hot minute over here. Just as it
hasn't integrated with my world. It doesn't exist. That's great.
Oh man, we got to get to the summer camp.
Yeah, we do. Let's talk back to summer camp. Go ahead, lead us in the summer camp conversation.
Well, you had this article, but I thought it was really cool. It's not summer camp as you would expect it, right? Obviously, a manufacturer getting into summer camp. I'm telling you what, Ford is in the news like crazy recently. They got podcasts, direct to consumer, summer camps, all this type of stuff. I would just look. You might love to hate him. We had the conversation with Brian Pash yesterday. If you missed that, you're going to want to listen to that pod. But you should pay attention because from a brand build perspective, they are doing something very right. So they're doing an automotive-focused tech summer camp. They're partnering with Petersburg Pinellas Technical College, who typically is doing only high schooler type education, but they're going into middle schoolers to try and get those students interested in high demand trade industries like auto tech, especially EVs. And if you think about the people that are going to need to be working on and interfacing with these technologies on a daily basis are technology native young people who understand the native need to be holding or integrated with a device or battery, and then entering the workplace excited about being in those job fields. And so going at this, in my opinion, is a no-brainer for manufacturers. We've always talked about OEMs and dealers getting into trade schools for technicians, but diving deeper into that, into like the middle school ranges right now. I mean, think about it. In the year 2030, right? Like, think a middle schooler will be work age in the year 2030. 8 years from now.
Done. So, I mean, they're not, like Kyle said, they're not running the camp, but this Tampa Bay school, Petersburg Pinellas Technical College, who typically only offers programs for high schoolers, decided to, hey, let's kind of on-ramp some middle schoolers. So by the time they get to our high school program, there's a rolling start. So Ford basically provided the parts, right? Little electric motors and little plastic things. And they're teaching them about how the systems work together as they assemble and they go. Keith Whiteley, the lead automotive instructor, he's excited just to get students excited earlier on. So this Tampa Bay area, again, something people are doing, and I think something that all of automotive can take cues from, right? It's not too early to get kids interested in these high demand, high paying trades, right? Let's stop the whole thing that, like, if you don't go to a conventional college, like, you're not going to make it. Like, we know how that tape is playing out, and these trades, automotive, all of that converging at this one point, like, it really is a no-brainer. All right, we got one more story.
This is in Tampa Bay. If you work with or are part of the Digital Dealer Conference ecosystem, if Digital Dealer is going to be in Tampa Bay next year, an experiential visit to this place would be a no-brainer. Just throwing it out there if you're listening.
Are you listening? You should be listening. You should be listening. This kind of pivots really great off the story we focused on. We focused in the newsletter. Was it Monday or was it last week?
I don't know. They all
with
CM.
It's one big blur of newsletters. The CMA, Carter Myers Automotive, and their initiative to reach into and fund and support young people learning about the technical trades and recruiting them into their stores.
We're going to have to talk about that all day, because they did a signing day just like you would sign an athlete.
Psh, duh. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. All right, we're going to end on a super high note today. 10 states now have gas prices over $5 a gallon. If you weren't excited enough about Monday, but summer driving season's kicking into gear, there are places where gas is over $7 a gallon.
And we actually had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they were like, I live 20 minutes from my work, so I work from home more often now.
The state rhymes with the word California. And so gas prices are high, right? We all know this. They are reaching peak levels, probably getting close to historical peak levels, like forever and ever. But they're estimating that it's linked up in the article. Some important data tracking organization estimates that the average household will pay $450 more for gas this year than they did in 2021. However, AAA is saying that people are not pulling back at the pump. They are still spending money on gas, and they are not the actual demand level and how people are driving isn't being affected at this point by the prices, but they say that is likely to happen soon. They say people are just spending money on travel and experiences. Big surprise.
Yeah, they look at it
down for a year and a half.
They look at it as a percentage of disposable income. And so in comparison to like 2015 and 2008, when we saw other highs, the actual percentage of disposable income to gas purchase throughout the year is still in a lower high than those two time periods. So it doesn't mean that it won't reach that, but as a percentage of disposable income, we're still in not the highest gas prices of all time, even when gas reached $100 a barrel.
Isn't that awesome? Leave it to us to tell you the bad news in a good way, so you still kind of feel good about it. But here's our takeaway for you, for real. And we're really serious now. Whenever there is a pain point, for all of you brand marketers out there, this is an incredible opportunity to practice empathy and put some salve on the pain point, right? Like, gas is a great promotion right now. If $450 is the average loss of a household for a year, you can start to figure out a way you can give some households, right, offset that cost for them. It's around travel. It's around summer. It's around vehicle maintenance. It's around all of these things is the public conversation that you happen to have solutions for. So on all of those high notes, we can't help but say we hope you have an amazing day, because look, it doesn't matter what happens. It matters how we respond to it, how we react to it, how we band together to go get some. So go get some today.